We found out that I had an extra rib when I was 2, and I never thought anything about it growing up. It didn't seem to affect me in high school during sports. At least I didn't think it did.
He adapted to everything. You wouldn't know that there was anything wrong because everything he did, there was a way, and you honestly would have just thought he was normal because he had learned to do everything from birth the way he could.
I loved football and then competed at state in track. I just assumed, I never thought about it. I thought everybody's shoulders just killed them after they ran.
There was nothing genetically wrong with him, but he did have large cervical ribs, which were basically obstructing the mobility of his shoulder.
When we first got married, there wasn't any pain. I wasn't terribly concerned until the pain started, and then I was very concerned.
I'm an electrician, and so almost everything I do involves hand and wrist motion up over stuff above my head. And I got where I was dropping tools and I'd lose strength in my hands. And I never lost feeling, but I got where I'd be able to work for a couple of days and then had to take off for 3 days because I couldn't move my arms.
One night he woke me up and he was scared and I could tell he was kind of panicked. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And I turned on the light and he said, "Feel my arm," and it was very cold, kind of like icy cold even. And his hand and arm were blue, and he could not feel the difference in textures. Like when he touched me, he couldn't tell the difference in me and the sheet.
Katie started doing research and found Dr. Melendez, and we went from there.
He had neurogenic thoracic outlet, which is the nerve kind. So he was getting pinching on the nerves, which was causing weakness and basically inability to move. But it was all due to an extra bone, which is not the usual.
She could see basically from the start that there wasn't, there was so much stuff in here to block everything that she's gonna have to just remove it was the only real option.
We ended up taking him to the operating room to remove a cervical rib. I think the most striking thing about it is that he had the largest rib I've ever seen. This is Nate's post-op chest x-ray after we did his right side. Here you can see the cervical rib and first rib were removed. You can see some air underneath his tissue after the removal of the ribs. For comparison's sake, on the other side, you can see his complete rib that goes around his chest cavity and his cervical rib up there that were both causing compression on the nerve. The day after surgery, I walked into his room and he's like, "Oh my God, look what I can do. I can get my arm out," which was the first time he had ever been able to do that.
Before the surgeries, my full range of motion, as high as I could get my arms at all, was about right here. It did not matter. I could go up in the front like this all the way up, but that was as far out as my elbows would go. And now, the 2 days after the surgery, once the swelling went down, all the way up.
I'm just so happy that he's able to do what he wants and do it better, and he's an amazing husband, and I just love him, and I'm so happy for him.
Honestly, thank you for changing my life. There were points I wasn't sure how to keep going with what we were going through, and it literally saved my life.